make your wife your girlfriend?
I love that.
How do you make your wife your girlfriend? Bring variety.
I love that.
Bring some a different energy into the date, into the relationship.
This is Vivian Velasquez.
And this is Raul Velasquez.
Welcome to the God, Money, and Purpose podcast.
Welcome to the God, Money, and Purpose podcast. My name is Raul Velasquez, and I'm here with my beautiful queen.
Yes, Vivian Velasquez. So happy to be here with you. We're coming from
New York City. We're actually in a very cool spot. We are in a tattoo place.
Yes.
Vivian is posing for my tattoo that I'm gonna have my right sleeve. I'm gonna tattoo Vivian's whole full body in my right arm.
You may need your back then, because I have a fall going on. No, we're not. But it's funny because we walked in. We're here in this amazing setup in New York City. We're so blessed that we live 45 minutes from the city, so we could come in and just do something different, right?
And go back to the country.
I think it's a really great setup because for today's podcast, we are talking a little bit about this, and we'll get to tell you a little bit about it. So we were thinking about different questions and different things that come up. And I think it's really beautiful when you share. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the questions, for the support, for the love. Like, we love that. And one of the things that came up from just the posts and the conversations that we've had is like, what are three things that we would say that kill passion? That kill the relationship from flourishing and from going on to the next level. And I think one of the things that really, for me as women, and it's just being here, it's kind of like, it brings me to that. It's like the routine that we sometimes have in our relationships is what kills passion. Wouldn't you say?
I mean, routine is probably number one passion killer, because we fall into a routine that becomes stagnant. In order for you to have passion in your relationship, you have to have variety.
Yes. And then, like if you're in the same routine, if you're doing the same things over and over again, it's like you become bored, especially when you've been in a long-term relationship, in a marriage, in a loving marriage. Like, yes, you love each other. Yes, you want to be with each other. But if you continue to do the same things over and over again, then you get bored, you get dissatisfied, then you're looking for something else, maybe without even like consciously thinking about it. So like as we're coming here to New York City, it's funny because like we get in the car and Raul tells me stuff, but he doesn't really give me too much detail because, that's just the way that he is. He's running 100 miles an hour.
I want to surprise you.
Yes, and I know that. And I'm like, there's parts of me, like we as women, we want to have the control of everything that happens. Like we like to be surprised, but we like the surprises that we like.
I think we want to be in control too. I think the attachment
you do too.
is the need of having control as opposed to letting go of control for variety.
Right. So then we're coming here. We're like, we're going to New York City. And I'm thinking like, yeah, we're going to New York City to like, I don't know. I'm already like in my head doing my own story. But just letting go of that control, letting go of that attachment. And I always have to remind myself, I'm like, I'm with this man and I never know what I'm going to get. And I love that. Like, seriously, like I've learned to, be grateful about it. I've learned to like, what is the gift from that? And
especially for you, because you love to know everything.
And it just,
you love to be in control of everything. So I have to break that pattern in order to bring passion.
And I love it. And I love it. I think, and that's one of the things like that kills passion is the routine. And I love the fact that for me, like I'm going to give myself kudos here because I let go of that attachment of like the way that things have to look. I may like want to do certain things, but then when I let go of that, it's like, how can I enjoy what's in front of me? Because it's not the routine, it's not the everyday thing. So if you're listening to this right now, like, what are you going to do for your spouse, for your lover, for your partner, that it's outside the box, that maybe you haven't done in a long time, that you could incorporate into your relationship right now?
One of the things that I could think of at the top of my head that we do is when we go in a date night, when somebody asked me like who I'm with, I said I'm with my girlfriend because my wife is at home, right?
And then they'll turn around and they'll look at me and I'm like, just nod. And I'm laughing inside. But it's like, how do we even like change that energy of like just being the wife, the good girl, the mother, like have all this characteristics that we carry with ourselves. Like, how do we just let go for a minute and come back to like, okay, maybe this.
Make your wife your girlfriend.
I love that.
How do you make your wife your girlfriend? Bring variety.
I love that.
Bring some a different energy into the date, into the relationship.
Okay.
I think a lot of men, we just lack creativity. We lack creativity, and that's what kills passion. So I will say, The second thing is fear, right? The fear or the stress, or like, this is, what is she gonna say? What is she gonna say?
Yeah.
The fear and the stress is what kills passion, and we just settle.
Yeah, and then I think also too, like even though we've been in a marriage for so long, like you feel like you're gonna be judged. You feel like it's gonna be like your ideas are gonna be rejected, or what you want to say is gonna be rejected, and it's gonna cause a problem. But I think like, not necessarily, I guess I would say like we're always trying to please the other person. And instead of like pleasing each other, I really do think that and I always tell my queens this, is like, how do you start to know what it is you want? There is nothing more beautiful than knowing like, what is it that you want? And then how do you bring that into the relationship? There's nothing more sexy than having confidence in the things that you want and who you are. And believe me, there's times that we forget, there's times that I forget, but we come back every single day and it's like, okay, who am I? Who are we in this relationship? What are we bringing to each other? It's not just like the I, but it's like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do this relationship today?
Yeah, and we start thinking about what's the opposite of passion, right? The opposite of passion is boredom.
Yeah.
The opposite of passion is just being status quo.
Stagnant.
The opposite of passion is being stagnant.
Yeah.
So what brings that energy of being stagnant or being status quo is just, thinking that this is as good as it's going to get.
Yeah. You're comfortable.
And you're comfortable, and in your mind, you're justifying not doing something different to bring passion. One of the things I love about what you do is you have the brand Ignite Your Passion. But in order for you to ignite your passion, you have to actually put a fire in your relationship.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us, we just let the fire die, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in our business, whether it's for ourselves.
Yeah.
How do we bring that fire back? Is you need to start asking yourself, where am I feeling comfortable? Because if the moment that you start feeling comfortable, passion begins to die.
Right.
You stop growing, you stop working on yourself, you stop taking care of yourself, you stop, doing things that bring passion to relationship, and there begins the downfall of the relationship.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because like my branding is Ignite Your Passion, and I think God puts His seeds already in our heart, right? Like when I started my branding, I just prayed about it and it came across like ignite. Like I needed to ignite something in me. And so that's the reason why I named it that. And every single morning when I do my ritual, like I light a little candle. And even like in my lighting, that is my ritual, to like light the match and strike the match. And I always look at it. It's like this tiny little thing on top of a wooden piece could actually spark something and light a whole candle. And to me, that's like that daily reminder of like, what is the one little thing that I could do today, whether it's in my marriage or for myself, that really ignites that again, like it turns it on, it sparks it on. So it's just little things like that that have such a compound effect in who we are and what we have. So then I would say, which leads me to number 3, is what kills passion, is the lack of trust. The lack of trust in who we are, because I think that's something like we as women, we truly forget. We forget how amazing we are. We truly forget how like who God created in us. And that's another reason why I tell my queens, I'm like, remember that you were born to be a queen. We're remembering because it's not that I need to tell you who you are. You just need to remember. Like we as women, we need to remember. We as a couple, we need to remember like, okay, why did we get married 20 years ago? Like, why did I say that I love you? Yes, we evolve. Yes, there's different parts of me, a different version of me. But really like in that remembering, it's like, oh, we bring back that passion. If we don't have that trust or we lack the trust.
There's 3 types of trust that I believe that, we have to work on. Number 1 is trusting in ourselves, right? Trusting that, okay, we got this. Trusting
individually.
That yes, we're going to figure things out. Every time I'm coaching, one of my guys, when they're going through something in their business or their marriage, it's like, you got to trust that you're going to figure shit out. I think a lot of the times we get stuck in the problem. We're like, oh no, I have this problem. I have this situation. Well, can you trust that maybe you don't have the solution right now, but can you trust that you're going to figure things out, right? The second is, can you trust in God or a higher power? I believe that God is constantly just giving us opportunities for us to trust Him,
right?
To trust that the fact that He's going to provide, to trust in the fact that
He wants that
we're going to go through it.
Are we going to trust Him?
And the third trust is trust in the timing. Trust that right now you're in the right place at the right time, that you're going to figure things out, that every single time that we argue with reality, we begin to suffer.
And I just want to add something to the timing, because for men and women, I feel like the timing is always so different, but trusting in your own timing and not necessarily just like in your own, but knowing that your timing is probably totally different than your husband's, and that's okay. But trusting in the timing that it will have this perfect alignment when it needs to come together.
I was just in the previous podcast that I was doing with the VP of a real estate company. We were talking about the bamboo tree, right? How the bamboo tree grows. I don't know if you heard the story. The bamboo tree doesn't grow doesn't apparently seem to be growing for 5 years.
Right.
Every single day you're watering the bamboo tree. Every single day you're nurturing the bamboo tree. Nothing happens for 5 years. And all of a sudden, after 5 years, it grows 90 feet tall within the first 9 days.
Well, you think nothing is happening, but there is so much happening underneath. The roots
to
are
sustain
being
the
loved.
growth.
The roots are being watered. The roots are being taken care of. And I think that's something that maybe if you're looking at this right now, like at this podcast, or you're listening to this, is like you see Raul and I in probably like one of our most, loving, caring times, but it wasn't always like that. But I want you to know that the more that you have this conscious decision to take care of yourself and take care of each other, the end result, like you will see like that bamboo like come out, and you will be like, oh my gosh, like I'm amazed that this plant is actually here. That's kind of like the feeling. That's a beautiful analogy, because it's like that's how I feel like we've done the work, we do the work, we are constantly doing the work, and then it's like, oh, people think like, well, you have a beautiful marriage, of course you're going to say that. It wasn't always like that. It wasn't always
planting the seeds,
Yeah.
working ourselves. And it's same thing for a business. I mean, look, you've been working on your brand for a couple of years. I've been working on my brand for the past 7 years.
And it's still like that struggle and that like going back and innovating and failing and, sometimes wanting to give up and never giving up, because it's something like, God puts something in your heart. God puts something planted a seed, not for you to give up, but for you just to like come back, and it's like your timing is totally perfect.
Remember when I used to do the events at the beginning, the first year that I did my next level events?
Yeah.
And I used to tell you at the end of every event, what was...
I'm never doing this again. This is the last one. This is the last one, Vivian.
Every single time that I finish an event, I'm like, fuck this. This is the last time I'm doing this.
Yeah,
I'm going to just focus on my real estate company. I'm going to just grow the real estate company. But then I heard the voice, trust. Yeah. One more time, Raul. One more event. One more man that you could help.
Yeah.
And eventually, like that voice of doubt, of that voice of like giving up, of that voice of like, oh man, you're not made for this. It started to dim, and the louder voice of purpose, the louder voice of like, man, this is your calling.
Yeah, but you're very disciplined.
The louder voice of like, man,
So
this is
disciplined.
there's nothing stopping you.
Yeah.
Like this is a mission. I think that's where we need to start focusing on. If you want to ignite your passion in your relationship, what's the voice that you're listening to? Are you listening to the voice that's picking on your partner, that doesn't trust the partner, that feels bored with the partner, that feels stagnant and comfortable with the partner? Or you listen to the voice that says, no, there's something beautiful about your partner. There's something beautiful about the relationship. There's something beautiful, something more you could do.
You got to remember.
And what did I write in every card that I always give you? Like the Christmas card, birthday cards. What do I always say at the end of the card?
Well, you say two things. You say, I live to love you. But now I think mostly say like the best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come. And that's when I believe. And when I believe that, when you said right now that we're in the best place in our marriage, I feel like there's a whole different level of happiness, a whole different level of excitement. It only gets better.
Hey, my list is long, so I'll give it to you.
But if you believe it's going to get better, it's going to get better. If you believe that it's as good as it's going to get, well, we're going to go down the hill from there. So I want to call you out on that, reframe that. Like the best is yet to come. We're good, but we haven't never touched where we need to do.
I'm very like grateful for the place where we are right now. And I'm the type of person that really likes to take it in. And it takes, like for you, you're already like far ahead, right? Like you're thinking like, okay, the best is yet to come and I'm still planning for the next thing. Me, I'm like, I'm taking it in. Like I'm so grateful. I'm enjoying this moment. And there's more. I know that there's more.
There's always more.
Because your capacity is so much more than what you're giving me.
And I love I see with you the flourishing of everything you've done. Your brand, your mission, your vision.
I love my woman.
You are like the bamboo tree, and we are like the bamboo trees.
Yes.
It would seem like nothing is happening, but underneath,
there's so much happening.
The roots are being planted. So I want to tell you how much I love you. And
me too, baby.
If you're listening, if you're a woman, and you listen to this, you gotta go to igniteyourpassion.com, because Vivian truly brings in the best of every single woman that you work with.
Yes, well, thank you for saying that. We're actually doing a virtual event in June, so we're gonna put the links below, and I would love to have you there. Like, if you just considering, like, what is the beginning? How do I start? I feel like I want more to life. I want to ignite my passion. Where do I begin? I'm going to do a virtual event. So there is, we take all the excuses away. You don't have to travel. I know that this is going to be a beautiful event from the comfort of your home.
Yes. My guys, like, they always brag about your content. They brag about, the work that you do with their queens.
Yes.
So listen, if you're a married man and you want your wife to grow and expand, just share this podcast with your wife and have her to, see what she could do with Vivian, because I truly believe that what you're doing, babe, is changing lives.
Thank you for saying that.
Thank you. So continue to follow us, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us everywhere except for our bedroom. This is where we keep it private. Live it,
experience it. Love life.
If you receive any value from this conversation, comment, subscribe, and share as we continue to impact more people and take them to the next level.
And please send us your comments and questions so we could answer them in the next podcast.
See you in the next episode.